Good morning, everyone. This fine Saturday, we're going to be working out of the shop in Malibu, California, cultural capital of the world, where all the glitz and glamour on the surface may not be what's actually inside. So, that's a fine opening, isn't it? You'll always want to make sure that what you're looking at is ultimately what's going to be there when you wake up in the morning. Does this look like Botox to you? No, it's not, because I don't do that, and I don't Botox guitars much either. Case in point, what do you see here? Well, it's certainly not a Gretsch Falcon. Tell me what it is. Well, it is a Harmony Model 1407, more commonly known as the Patrician. This model is about a 62 from what I can tell inside. I have one back in the shop in Acton that's from 1940. So the Harmony Patrician was a stalwart in the Harmony line for many years, and here's why. What do you see? Well, what you can't see is the mahogany body everywhere on this guitar, including under here. We're going to call this one the Spray Paint Patrician. I've had this guitar for about 3 or 4 years. I picked it up at a convenience store in some social media. I just noticed something there. In some social media marketplace trade-off, and what happened was somebody decided they wanted to be Richie Valens starter kit. So they got out the acrylic and just Now, this guitar actually has tortoise shell looking binding, and it's got that heel cap of the same thing, which is what I just noticed. So here's the dilemma. Yeah, I know it's dilemma, but I'm just keeping you awake. Couple things. We got this little accidente. We're going to be able to fix that and keep everything okay, because these still tune okay. But I got to get this off of here without ruining, number one, the original finish underneath, and number two, this binding, because the thing that usually is going to work here is going to be acetone. Why? Never use acetone. I've always told you that. Do not use acetone. Where's Chick Flick Teal Pointer Jr.? You do not use acetone. And here's why. It eats finishes. I did an episode about a guitar I did for somebody who took what was an Ibanez knockoff of a Gibson Hummingbird and tried to strip the finish, and it ended up being a mistake that led them to a fine career in luthiery. And I think I'll give you a link to that episode up there. The thing was already demolished. It didn't matter. It got new binding. It got dressed up the way it gets dressed up. I saw a comment this morning on social media where somebody who brought me their guitar and kind of looked me up to see what I could do, because it's odd work on an old archtop. They said, junk pile guitars does not actually instill confidence. No, it does not. Be aware of your surroundings, people, at all times. Anyway, why don't I just want to put paint stripper on here, because the paint stripper is going to get down to the varnish on the guitar, this finish that we see here. And if we've learned anything about the guitars that I don't junk pile, and even the ones that I want to preserve what's a trashed finish, is as long as you're sanding and scraping with your razor blade, when you break through to the wood, that's a whole new world. You have ruined the finish. Is the finish ruined here? Of course it is. Unless I can use acetone or something like it to get down to this finish underneath, meaning the original varnish or shellac, whatever it might be, and go to work from there to try to restore that. So that's what we're going to try to do with this one. the spray paint harmony. Let's get to work. Yeah, if I sit here long enough, this will be the cover photo. And I like this because it's clickbait, because people are like, what the hell did you do? No, mister, what the hell did you do? You got to hide stuff better at that yard sale. Just like, I don't know, I inherited it, just anything. And that white spray paint from the paper bag, yeah, that's not a good indicator that this was not you. Wash, wash, wash. Memories of a beer joint in Great Falls, Montana a long time ago. Somebody was trying to sell people back the stuff that they stole out of their own cars in the parking lot. And when somebody said, hey, that is my flashlight, the person said, well, great, I'll give it to you at a discount. Yeah, we had the white. Don't go there, kids. Don't go there. Okay, guys, I wanted to do a before on this because there might not be an after. I have told you so many times, do not use acetone. The stuff will get into your finish so fast that you'll never be able to correct it. But in this rare instance, what I need to do is I need to get the finish off of here and get it stabilized as quickly as possible before it burns through everything. So if I were to use paint stripper, it will burn down into the wood and I'll take everything off, and I really don't want to do that. So a couple things here. I want to make sure that I get around the fingerboard because I don't want any of this on here. Okay. I think you know how to do masking tape, correct? Good. And when working on the edges, I would mask off the edges on this, but I don't want this stuff pooling up around the edges. Because guess what? Acetone can be used to glue binding on because it chemically melts it to the wood. That's not something we want to do. So I'm going to take this rag, which has already been used, and I'm going to use only this rag for the application of the product, and then I am going to wipe it off with copious amounts of paper towels, and then I will burn that stuff. But here we go. You're going to see me being very light with this until I can see what's going to happen. When you feel it start to pull back at you and you see these little stains that are here starting to disappear, you know you have an effect. Let it dry off and get dull, and just go around. Stay clear of the edges where you are likely to get into the binding. You can feel this pulling. And at some point, we're going to see some brown start to come through, and that's where we want to be really careful. Look here, there's some marks. Watch, there's a mark right there. And it will start to disappear. As soon as this stuff starts to tug back on itself, it's an indicator that you are getting somewhere. This is a slow, tedious process, layer by layer. And it's the only time you will see a dirty brown rag turn white with the finish that used to be on here. Okay, I'm not going to put you through this. I'll pick up bits and pieces once we start seeing this exposing itself regular. Okay, we're on about our fourth light coat over the top, and you can see that this is starting to look dirty because the wood underneath is going to start showing through. You see how it's progressively getting browner and browner. I just want to make sure that I'm uniform in where and how I'm putting this on and giving it time to vaporize off. This is not a quick process. Rag pulls back on itself once you start to lose. This is kind of like lac finishing, but just the exact opposite. Okay guys, we have the moment of truth right there. Now, we may get the urge to keep rubbing right on that same spot. We don't want to do that. We want to keep going to the outer periphery of that spot, because acetone doesn't care if you're the original finish or some spray paint jukebox hero thing. So that's where we're going to keep this here, and you can feel that tugging. Okay, so I want to get to about this spot and then leave that part alone and take over with another technique after that. But the beauty or the ugliness, whatever you want to call it, that is acetone. Now, remember, the stuff vaporizes off. If you think you're getting in too deep or something, you're able to take your, be able, rented lips, to take your finger and feel it becoming less tacky. Slow down if you need to. Now, as I predicted, this dirty rag will turn white. You see that? Yes. That is 14 cents of spray paint errantly applied in the folly of someone's youth, but not mine. Guys, I will tell you, when you are working with acetone on your gloves, your fingertips will feel like you are on a drilling rig in Beulah, Montana, in the Williston Basin in January. That is an indicator of a chemical reaction. Make sure your gloves don't have holes in them. That is for sure. See, we're just getting the paint off. This is a tedious process. I've been at this for, well, I learned how to tell time in 2nd grade now, don't I? Guys, now we are down to 0.0004 steel wool working on this top, and there is still a lot of crud right here, but nice and slow. We're not trying to sand wood, just remember that. You can feel where the convex is of the archtop, and you just want to keep working that till we get all of that crud off of there. Yeah, producers, you know who you are, even if you're at my house. Okay, we are down to the point now where I'm taking steel wool and getting down to the fine details. I need to let this dry out because the wood is swelling up and it will grab the grains of the spruce if you go against it. But it looks like there's some scum growing on here, and there's other parts. This is finished. we weren't going to be able to save the original finish. But I think I found what is the reason why someone painted over this. Every piece of spruce, this is a spruce top, the rest of it's mahogany, but every piece of spruce is not perfect, and the ones that were, I guess, went to Cremona in 1590 something through 16 God knows what, and that's certainly not here. So I think I've got a Harmony 912 back in Acton, California, cultural capital of the world, that's got a couple of these streaks on here, and I think somebody got tired of looking at it. So if you look right here, we're taking the razor blade with tape on it trick and getting all the last minute stuff around here. But you can see that as we expose, easy Garth, not you. Anyway, we are, Garth is dying to say that's what Chuck said.
Tell me about the rabbits, George.
There we go. You can see right there, that is never going to go away, and that is why somebody painted over the top. I got a lot to do here in terms of getting this brown stuff, but I need to let it dry out a little bit because the vascular elements, i.e. the xylem of the tree, is swelled up from having moisture from the first time in years. Got a lot to do. I'll catch up with you once I get that done. Okay, once I get done with the tedious task of getting all of this down to look like the rest of this, that's why you don't break through the varnish. And I can take, y'all know what this is. It's my French polishing pad, and then we just start doing this. And you can tell that this is going to look awesome even when I do this flawed mark that caused this guitar to have a sordid life. Alright guys, believe it or not, I'm at the end of the day. Now there's been a lot of money going to this guitar just in labor. So I have literally spent pretty much non-stop, if I were to put the time together, about 4 hours. So multiply that what a luthier is worth. And then remember, we're going to have some finish issues ultimately on this guitar, especially one big one if you can't appreciate that. But you remember the before, the spray paint. This is the after. We're down to 500 grit sanding. There's going to be some more to go. And the whole issue, I think, this whole guitar's life is that mark right there. Everybody tried to hide it. So think about the thing that you dislike about yourself the most and try to spend your whole life hiding it. And when you realize whoever ends up with this guitar is going to see this video, it's going to come out of my shop, and this will be the thing right here that made it most desirable. So spruce top, mahogany the rest, good guitar. Watch for it in the future because we're going to put a finish on this that's going to complement what's here. Thanks for watching. I haven't said this in a while, but give me a like and a subscribe if you haven't, and check those links out at the end of the video.